Well, good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. I'm glad everyone is here today. My name is Michael Davis, and I will be the webinar facilitator for Lead in the Storm, Digital Marketing Concepts and Strategy. This is the first part of a two-part seminar. This one's today. The follow-on will be more in-depth for advertising and a case study for digital marketing to be on Friday, July 24th. And really what we want to do today is really talk about, with this global pandemic, what's the lens we look through in terms of communication, engagement. We're going to talk about marketing. How do we look at digital marketing? How do we use that to generate leads? So I've got a great study that just came out about trends for mobile, social, etc. And before we start, I want to thank Diane Matthews for the invitation, the opportunity to speak. Always great to come back home and speak at the chamber. So first, wanted to start off by thanking our sponsor, Macomber Insurance, because without them, this wouldn't be possible. Macomber Insurance has been in business for 127 years, which is a really long time, and they have a really unique practice for focusing plans and insurance just with what your needs are. As you can see there, they've got some great things for wealth insurance, active income for retirement, etc. So thanks to Macomber Insurance for sponsoring the event. From a housekeeping perspective, the webinar slides we made available. I already talked about the next part two of this rather. And really to get started, what I wanted to do, and I'm going to have to ask Kathy, you have to do the polls for me now that you're host. There are two polls to launch. One is digital marketing. Can you launch that poll real quick, just to get an idea? I can't access the polling because I'm not host anymore. And Kathy, you're muted.
You're muted.
Hey, Michael, yeah. Are you talking about the pandemic business self-check?
Well, the second poll. There's another poll. Hit the drop down. There's a second poll. I want to do the second poll first, which is that digital marketing. So if you go to
okay. Let me see. Okay, the second poll. Okay, digital marketing advertising. Okay, I can launch it now.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So while we're getting those poll responses in, one of the things I wanted to do, oftentimes in the webinar, you can't get all the questions answered. And the questions sometimes are more specific than the group. So on my website, finesse.news, for the webinar attendees, more than willing to do up to 10 free 30-minute consultations about digital marketing. So by all means, if you want to talk more in depth, that's available. There's an online appointment section for my website. You can book calendar time on my agenda, and we can talk about your specific questions for digital marketing or what your needs may be. And Kathy, with the number of people we have, whenever you think you've got critical mass, you might as well go ahead and actually, we might as well just leave it open, right?
I just think we can leave it open, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So why don't we just go ahead and move on? I mean, we're getting started here, but it's a late start. So let me go ahead and go to the next slide. A little bit about myself. Again, I'm former owner and operator of Cartersville Camp Creek, former president of Camp Creek Business Association, former executive director of Connect South Fulton. There's a theme here. I'm a South Fulton guy, South Fulton County guy, a resident for a while, business owner. And started a communications boutique solution agency focusing on digital marketing called Finesse Moves. I'm the principal there. And also I just launched an e-commerce site. So a lot of the digital marketing stuff we're talking about, I do eat my own dog food. So I'm doing that for my new business. It's called usatoner.net. And for those that didn't catch it, I used to own a brick and mortar version of this. Now I own a e-commerce version. So there's a nice synergy here for all of that. So the agenda, basically we'll talk about COVID-19 disruption. I've got some great insight for what the social media additional usage has been, and some global stuff in April. I'll talk about strategy, tactics, and actions that I would do as a business owner for this time. And then we'll kind of go through digital marketing and really first off, what's the size and scope of it? What is inbound versus outbound, traditional versus digital? And then really talk about sales funnels, because ultimately that's how you grow your business online with that. I mentioned there was a digital marketing survey, a global survey. We'll do a number of slides there, which do a really in-depth dive to really show online, mobile, what people are doing, how they're doing it, and really leverages the idea of why digital is important. And then I included about 16 digital marketing terms at the end. And that's a glossary. I'm not going to talk about those today, but I wanted to make this PDF that will be sent out more of a reference type of thing. Let's get started. COVID-19. What can we say about this? In less than 6 months, this pandemic has disrupted everything and everybody, and really has changed the foundation for how we live. We think about this disruption. This can't be compared to a single event like a natural disaster with a small area. It can't be compared to the financial meltdown in 2008, because really this is a perfect storm where you've got a highly contagious global pandemic with no vaccine. It's global in nature. There's economic impact, which is really every country that it's been. And then we're going to have waves of financial impact that we don't even know what the extent will be. So this really is almost a perfect storm. This is the greatest challenge we face in this generation. And we really don't know. All we do know is that we're approaching new normal. We do not know what the summer or fall will be like economically, because what we're going to see is this first wave of unemployment, we're now at 15%. 43 of the states have record unemployment rates, but we're going to have a wave of corporate layoffs and corporate furloughs. Businesses that were once open that thought they could come back will not be opening. We'll have a wave of bankruptcy. So we don't know how deep this rabbit hole will go. Certainly we'll be nearer 20% than we are now. And just for historical purposes, the all-time record for this country during the Depression was 25% unemployment. I don't think we'll get there, but I don't think we know yet, because there's more to come. And I think we're at the beginning phase of this from an economic and financial impact, not near the end. So from a disruption perspective, obviously there's been a societal mind shift, change for all of us, how we do business and how we view our lives, and even how we do technology. Kathy, can you share close the other poll and then share the other poll about the pandemic one that we talked about before? Because I wanted to really get some idea from the business owners that are on here for what they're seeing and what they believe their customers are saying.
Okay, so you want me to end this one and start the other one again?
Well, yeah, we can start it again, because this one's a quicker one. I don't know if you can have two polls at the same time, can you?
No, it doesn't look like it. So I'm going to end this poll, guys, and then I'm going to relaunch the other.
Perfect. So while we're doing that, what's really amazing here, one of the things I think that might be positive, and it's hard to say that with this, is we've been forced to really adopt technology like we've never been before. So if you think about all the places that said remote work was not possible, well, we worked it out because we had the technology. If you think about remote school, I mean, that was something only done for the online learning places. Our public and private institutions that are not college have gotten their first taste, and we'll have some blended versions of that. So all of these rules that said we can't do this, we're forced to overcome. And then with the social distancing, the issues of large groups, video meetings like this are the new normal. And certainly for conventions and things like that, we're going to see more of the video platforms. And then one of my favorite things has been the concept of Instacart. because I didn't realize how much time it took to go shopping for groceries. But there's a tremendous benefit now. We've got the tools and the businesses that pivoted to take out and delivery. We can order from them, get it to our house. So we're not driving, we're not traffic, so the time savings. So I think that the one positive thing I see from this is that we're using technology in ways we probably wouldn't have used it unless we were forced to use it. So let's talk about some of the data points that we've gotten recently from the recent COVID-19 in April. So what we're looking at here from April is a look at how people spent more time in the weeks with that. So there's some obvious things here. It's pretty obvious people would spend more time on mobile, but the fact that people spent 76% more on mobile, not a whole lot on traditional platforms, kind of echoes what we're talking about in terms of the importance of the mobile device and the internet. Looking at the next slide, this looks at, for the month of April since COVID, what is the increase in online and digital? Obviously, those of us who have Netflix and other things have been streaming and binge watching. But what I found interesting about these numbers here, we talk about 47% more time on social media. Obviously, there's music, but you can look at logging into messenger services for communication or apps, 46% more and 36% more. So this really shows that if we weren't already in the digital age, we're completely in right now. And it also suggests why, those of us with our businesses that haven't gotten to really embracing digital, this is where we need to go, because this is where people are and we're paying attention. And then this last snapshot from COVID was, will people continue these behaviors moving forward? And you can see that what people are saying is, yes, there'll be an increase, 15% more for social media, 10% more for mobile apps. But so this is I love this. This is real fresh snapshot looking at not just the US, but a number of countries around the world, seeing that as part of the shelter at home, our behaviors have changed. And they've even gone more into mobile, which means the opportunities for digital are even more than they are. So from a strategy perspective, I want to take really 3 different looks at this for what I would do. So first, as a business owner, first and foremost, we got to keep customers in the loop. The places where customers are looking, and they look first, are the listing services where you are on Google and on Facebook. So if there are any changes for hours or operating procedures, we need to be sure to put those there. And I've already experienced this with lots of business owners. They've forgotten this, right? So, last thing you want to see is your hours are the same hours, your procedures have changed, people call, they can't call, or they have misinformation. They're not coming back to the customer. So first, we have to do a better job of being sure all the information is easy to find and current for the businesses. Second, we need to really pause the marketing spend activities that are not performing. And then really from an advertising perspective, do more in the top of the funnel. By the top of the funnel, I mean awareness, exposure, brand building, and not go so deep into heavy selling. So the other thing we need to do is we need to be sure we're aligned and understand with our customers, what are the challenges they're facing? Have their pain points shifted? If so, we need to align that so we're actually taking our unique selling position and we're relevant and accurate and we're meeting our customers' needs and their priorities. And then lastly, if you're a business that's been active doing social value things, donating out in the community, you certainly want to leverage that and have that part of your marketing and communication, and then take all that communication and update your marketing communication strategy so it's current. I can give, but I won't, several examples of communication messaging was the same as it was in February, that certain businesses have not updated, and it just looks like you're out of step with customers. Moving on to communication, it's got to be about authenticity, being relatable and relevant. Everybody has the ability to understand what's real and what's not real. So you have to speak with an authentic voice. You have to be more open and more peer-to-peer like, and then really be sure that all your messaging is appropriate and relevant. Much like that old saying, vote early and often, as a joke. You've got to communicate clearly and communicate often. If there are any changes with how people do business with you, how they pick things up, or the whole experience, you have to over communicate through all your platforms, all those expectations. People are distracted. They don't have the time slice they normally did. So you want to be sure that you have all that there and you're making it easy and frictionless for them to do business with you. And they know that they can come back to you and buy with whatever the new plays are. In terms of email, it's a weekly email. It's using the first name options in these platforms like Constant Contact, etc. Providing preview text so you can really be sure you've got a chunk of it to open the email because email rates aren't that high. But also it's putting a strategy in of the double open. And what the double open is, after a few days, for the people that haven't opened, send them the same message again just to them to ensure they got it and really increase the chance of them opening. One of the great rules for social media marketing is the 80-20 rule. 20% you're selling and providing information about you. 80% are other things. And in this time, it's about, what are we sharing that's relevant to the situation, our communities making a difference, showing the human side and connecting with communities, and then really showing in the content sensitivity and sincerity. Areas where there's good messaging, where are there COVID-19 support resources? Where are there things for people to help get loans and things like that, showing support for your workers and employees, and then really sharing information to help customers, and then signal to them in no uncertain terms, here's what you've done to make it safe to buy from you. It's also worth the while to think about what are your competitive advantages and differences post-COVID-19 and communicating as well because your business customers aren't aware of them. Lastly, from a strategy perspective, we'll talk about this more, is using the full funnel approach and your social advertising campaigns, really pushing the chips in and doing more with social activity, but also paid advertising for digital, but also using texting. We can see that everyone's on their phone, even though texting traditional, it's a great way to get to people with we're open, we've got specials, because people aren't reading their email. They're on social media applications. And then we all know it's easier to keep a customer. It's less expensive than it is to get new ones. Really focus on what are your strategies for retaining the customers and loyalty. They already love you. So how do we make it so they want to buy from us versus new customer generation? So from a key takeaway perspective, we have to first sit down and understand the current customer pain and priorities for alignment. We want to be sure that we're over communicating how things are different to make it easy to understand how you do business with us, when we're open, it's safe to buy. And then from a communication perspective and a content perspective, really look at authenticity and having sincere communication. And then lastly, push the chips in. People are on social media, look at digital advertising, which is why we're here. And we'll talk more about the funnel approach. So let's go to the second module, which is digital marketing. As you can see, there's 4 or 5 areas there. The last one there, I point the glossary terms out. That's at the end of the deck. I won't be talking about that. But as a reference for later, there's 16 digital marketing advertising terms that are in there. So first, let's really look at these statistics. And I'll let you kind of read this for a second. My first takeaway from this is if you ever thought that people have not taken on the internet, mobile, for every part of their lives, this is a great way to show it. And the first takeaway I have from this, where it's, you've got 92% looking at a website for a product, and 84% of us are shopping for something. We're online 90% of the time, 88% looking for trust online through social proof. So in your business, you really got to really share those reviews, those testimonials, because people use that, as you can see, in a high rate. But this reminds me of the old quote from the bank robber, Willie Loman, when they asked him, why do you rob banks? He said, because that's where the money is. And what this slide tells me is the reason why you do digital advertising, that's where the customers are, that's where they're looking to research, and that's where they're buying products. Briefly, old concept, but I think it's worth it going back over inbound marketing versus outbound marketing. You know, outbound marketing is the old marketing that you basically have a message, you push it out, um, broadcast, print advertising, cold calling, telemarketing. You push that out to products and customers, um, you know, and it's traditional, right? So you use email blasts. Whereas inbound marketing really relies on earning people's interest, cultivating the buying process, and using the tools of social media, search engine optimization, and other types of information. You're pulling them through. The advantage of inbound marketing, because it's digital, it's timely, you can do very, very specific laser focused targeting, which you can't do with some of the more traditional advertising. It's also easy to look at ROI. So conceptually, inbound versus outbound. Looking at traditional marketing versus digital marketing, we're all familiar with um, point of sale and radio and billboard and print and advertising. Just for sake of comparison, you can see here there's digital marketing with social media, PPC, pay-per-click, pay-per-click rather, excuse me, and SEM, which is search engine marketing, which is really highlighting your website. Content marketing, which is ebooks and valuable information content to really help your brand. You can see inbound marketing. Those are the two buckets that we're talking about in terms of traditional versus digital. And we're going to basically do a lot of the rest of the meeting today, the webinar rather, about digital marketing. The concept that you'll see everywhere and you've experienced everywhere if you're on Instagram or the internet or Facebook, you may get pulled into a funnel where all of a sudden it asks a provocative question or there's a giveaway of something to get your attention. You know, those are different forms of funnels. I've got 3 types listed here. There's many, many more types of funnels, but essentially a funnel, and we'll look at the marketing funnel definition, really describes the customer journey and the process of turning leads into customers. And then from the sales funnel, you know, it's the beginning from brand awareness where they first discover who you are and through your marketing. You let them know this is our unique selling proposition, pull them through. And then conversion funnel really is how do you actually convert them to buying, right? Because clicks and fans and all those posts are great, but ultimately this is about getting them to buy. So those are the different types of funnels. And I wanted to stop here and talk about digital marketing, what the sales funnel is, right? So it's all the different marketing tactics, and I've got a graphic coming up after, which shows how you generate traffic to your business, how you nurture them to become loyal customers and advocates for your business. So a couple of things I mentioned, you know, giveaway funnels where there's a chance to win something. And what you're doing with the funnel is you're taking prospects that might be cold and warm, and then really cultivating and narrowing them down to here are the folks that have the interest, they've got the pain point that we have a solution for, and we can go directly marketing them to hopefully help them convert. Some simple ideas of digital marketing tactics. Coca-Cola a few years ago had the idea of a named bottle, right? So you can put your name on the bottle and get that. So what do people do? They posted that online, they tagged people, and Coke got free advertising from that. Or like McDonald's in California, with for landscaping, did a huge and a desolate highway with no billboards. They did their whole logo in yellow flowers. Of course, it's 10 miles up from a McDonald's restaurant, so they different ways of doing things to get your name out and having social good to clean up the area. In one city, Domino's repaired potholes for free, but they also put their logo on the potholes. So there's all kinds of things you can do offline and online, but essentially the sales funnel is whatever the tactics are to generate interest and then hopefully to sales. So this is a conceptually, and if you Google this, you'll see different words for exposure, discovery, awareness, but this really lists here all the steps that you go through really in the customer buying journey, right? So at the very top, you see exposure. So this is where at the top we're doing different things with search and social media so that potential customer can know who we are. And then The goal there is to get them to discover us, make some site visits. People rarely go by the first time. People generally go through a process of information and validation. They have to know you, they have to like you, they trust you before you buy. So this is what the funnel is what do you do in terms of content and engagement to bring them down where they're in the consideration process and they're considering the action of buying. And then as we go down, and conversion really is a simple way of getting to buy. There's a saying in golf, you drive for show and you putt for go. This is what it's all about. And if I'm sure many of us have been through this. So, you get the customer to put something in the shopping cart, you get them to make a buy, and then you convert. But I'm sure many of us have had the experience where we decided not to make a purchase, but we have a shopping cart there. And then all of a sudden later, it seems like we're being stalked online and we see offers on other websites or other social media or email about the shopping cart. Well, that concept, and it's made possible because of the cookie that we talk about and we say we have to accept, that tracking allows them to do that, and that's called remarketing or retargeting to really go back to conversion. Because if they're almost there, maybe you should give them 10% off for the shopping cart and they go back to buy. So these are some of the things that are in the funnel. And then obviously it's about retention. The cost of, getting a new customer means that whole process. It's easier to keep them if they're there, but it's also better with social proof to have them referring for you. This here I wanted to put up because this kind of gives you a logical look at the, at the top, the digital marketing channels, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, et cetera, YouTube. And then where awareness, interest, you would put various different things. On the right, we've got SEO, which is, putting in hashtags so when people search your content or your website or whatever is more findable. And then SEM, which is really heightening your visibility of your website, is through all the process. On the left, you do video and social to help get them to know who you discover you, know who you are, and cultivate interest. And as you get down to the consideration phase, that's when it gets more specific, right? PPC is pay-per-click. Google AdWords having ads that are compelling that they'll click on and go to your specifically user experience web content. And this is where you're providing that specific information that says you're an authority, you're an expert. It's a white paper, it's an ebook. And then we're getting them to the intent thing, and then we hit them up with email and remarketing. So really, that's kind of digital marketing and the funnels. I mean, again, right now, it's about taking a fresh look at your online presence as a takeaway to be sure you're relevant. Really going back and validating that your current selling proposition is the same. If it's adapted, because this is how you get to people to be aware, to develop desire and intent, shifting it, and then really adopting funnels to target customers. They have conversion funnels for more sales. And then really right at this time, doing a deep dive on how do I get my customers back buying? How do I give them awards to make them loyal? And how do I incent them to go out and be ambassadors to get more customers? So then from here, we'll look at digital in 2020. The organization called Hootsuite did a massive study globally. It's 207 pages long. I've taken out some of the highlights to really educate and show. Right here, I think this is fascinating. The global population is 7.75 billion. There's 67% are using mobile to get involved digitally. Internet population 4.4 billion, and of course you see what the number of social media users are. I mean, this is really from a global perspective something that's fascinating to see. We're using our phones for the internet, and we're doing it through social. Here's an example of 6 hours and 43 minutes on the internet, and these are kids ages 16 to 64, and here's what we're doing. I mean, the biggest thing, we're watching TV, obviously we're streaming from our homes, but that chunk of social media is double the size of streaming, and even more than gaming consoles, which may be a surprise. Looking here, once we have mobile apps, 204 billion downloads in 2019. I'm a free app guy, so to see that people are spending more than 20 bucks on apps here is amazing. Average person's got 60 to 80 apps on their phone, but you can see the growth of mobile apps online is double-digit 20%, and you can see that's 120 billion of consumer spend, and the growth just keeps going. Here's a slice looking at the overview of global internet usage. 60% of the population is on the web. And when you think about our disparate populations in rural areas with their technology, that number still astounds me. I mean, the chat, if you guys have any thoughts about these numbers, I find these numbers every year, I look at them astounding. Here's mobile internet usage, and you can see we're all doing it via our smartphone. And you can see the average amount of time there spent on mobile devices. Here's something interesting, right? So global e-commerce is 3.43 trillion. You can see the growth from B2C, almost 20%. And you can see we're almost spending $2,600 a year. But you can see this is where people now feel a lot more comfortable buying online than they did 5 years ago. And you can see more of the stuff going from brick and mortar e-commerce. Here's a look at the digital ad spend. Question often asked in the slide, the number is much more for Google than Facebook. The reason why is, you mentioned the top of the funnel, the bottom of the funnel. At the bottom of the funnel, people are looking to buy. When people go on Google to do searches, they're really looking to find something to buy. So the spend is there because through Google AdWords, people are trying to get those ads that you see on Google or various other places. We're trying to get attention because people are in the buying mode. For Facebook, though, there's great Facebook advertising. The first reason they go on Facebook is for social. It's not to buy. So that's why that number, even though the ones on Facebook, is higher in the percentage of ad spend on Google than it is for Facebook. And you can see the next piece are the e-commerce sites, Alibaba, the monster from China, which is, and Amazon are the next two. Looking at e-commerce activities, 80% of the time we're searching for a product. 90% of the time we visit the e-commerce site. So the takeaway here for everybody here is your website, first impressions, it's got to have a great mobile presence. So you should be doing all your development to be sure you the preview. It fits nice. It's easy to put up a mobile device because more people are looking at your site for the first time. First impressions count. A mobile device, not a computer. Really quickly, obviously, people are watching videos and video logs. This is and music. Let's look at social media use around the world. So 3.8 million social media users actively each month. The penetration is 50%, the growth's almost 10%. And you've got users using their mobile. Mobile, and this is why I went back to text messaging, though it's old, and SMS is a great play right now. And if anyone listening is interested in that, I've got a solution where they're waiving the fees for the first couple of months to help small businesses get started with texting and knowing what the financial situations are. Let's look at social media behaviors briefly. This shouldn't be a surprise based on that. What got me was the average person's got 8.6 accounts. But it's probably obvious that 97% visited networking last month, which is really great if you think about advertising and social media posting. If you've got great posts that are engaging, you're looking at 87% of the people are actively doing that online, which I think is great. Here's a quick snapshot. Most use social platforms based on monthly active users, advertising audiences, and unique monthly visitors. Obviously, what blows my mind is a third of the planet just about is on Facebook at almost 2.5 billion. YouTube's at 2 billion. And then what we see, which is interesting, even though some of these other apps that might not have familiar names are from China, which is the largest populated country, the WhatsApp, global messaging, Facebook Messenger, WeChat, those are all messaging. So beyond, socializing, social media, beyond the video piece, the next group we're looking at 3 or 4 billion people on different apps for messaging and communication. And then we get back to the regular type of Instagram, which you're familiar with, TikTok, which has exploded, which is a newer version of Facebook with shorter videos with a lot of social media rules. And then you can see as we go down, Pinterest, Twitter, and Reddit. Anyway, this really is an interesting slide, I think, when you look at how many people are there and how active they are. So really quickly, wanted to go through some of the main social media channels and look at their size and scope. Here's a look at Facebook. And I want to really make a fine point of this. This is from an audience perspective based on who can be reached from adverts, right? 2.5 billion active, you can reach 1.95 billion. With your advert, you can probably reach 32% of that. You can see the growth there. Intellectually, it was interesting. It's 56% male, 44% female. YouTube, 2 billion people log in a month. The number that still blows my mind is there's 1 billion hours of video watched a day. And then with their advertising platform, you can reach a third of their platform. And you can see the male-female ratio is pretty similar to Facebook. Twitter's a little bit different. You can reach a large number of their platforms with adverts. But your advertising has to be very different for there, but you can reach 5.6% there. And this is predominantly male, with only 8% from the audience perspective. Instagram, Instagram here is comparing 1 billion users. You can reach a high percentage of them with advertising. This is very popular now with video and things like that for lots of them. So a lot of folks are doing Instagram advertising, become very popular. You can see the male-female split is. And then we go to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the business platform globally. So if you're doing B2B or trying to get directly targeted to them, this is a great platform. And you can reach a lot of those folks. So this may be, look at your social media advertising strategy, or digital strategy rather. This might be part of it, depending on what the targeting you want to do. So in the glossary section, here's some of the terms we have here. We've got some time, so I'll just briefly page through those. I mentioned inbound marketing, SEO, and SEM. There's the concept of organic, and this really is non-paid search, and all you do to move yourself up. I mentioned Google AdWords. Google AdWords is an amazing tool for getting you noticed by having your ads and really, once you really understand your user special selling proposition and what pain is your customers, you can do amazing segmenting to what they like, where they are, geographically, anything you can think of to target your AdWords to reach those audiences. And unlike traditional advertising, you can do it $5 a day and have a budget, and you can do it for 3 days, stop it, use Google Analytics, which is a free tool to analyze that and tweak it again. But before you do all this, you want to be sure that you've got a Facebook pixel on your website and tagging stuff so you can get all of the information available to understand behavior. So you can understand in Google AdWords, the first report says you had 4,000 clicks, but you didn't see conversions. You can use the analytics provided by the Facebook pixel and some of the other tagging things that code from your website to better understand why they didn't convert on a page or what they did, and then go back and tweak Google AdWords. I hope that makes sense, but and we can do a deeper dive in part 2. I mentioned pay-per-click and cost per click, and those are just ways of you pay not on having to show it, but based on the click they do to click through. Click-through rate, again, that's nice. It's a good indicator, but at the end of the day, it's about conversion, people buying, and conversion rate. So you'll often hear conversion rate talked about for different forms of ads for success, because this is the ultimate success. So earlier I said, great to have a bunch of fans, great to have followers, great to have a great click-through rate. And of course, it's meaningful that they're going further on the journey or further through your funnel, but it's about buying. I mentioned the Facebook tracking pixel. So this is just a piece of code that you would put on your website on the different pages you want to have tracking. And for those that aren't familiar with you, it's mind-boggling the level of information you get. And then you also take the tracking code, as I mentioned before, put that on your website. So you've got the ability to understand in great depth what they're doing on pages, and then you can further optimize not only your advertising and marketing to help them maybe make it convert, but you also get insights for how you want to change and position your website to get them to convert. I've already touched on unique selling proposition. I talked about Google Analytics. I talked about remarketing and retargeting, and that is it. Kathy, I don't know if there are any questions. I know I went through that fast, but more than happy to talk. If we've got, 15 minutes left? More than happy to talk about any questions or any concepts, or even talk more in depth about what could be phase 2.
Perfect timing, Michael. That gives us, we normally, take up to about, give them about 10 or 15 minutes to ask questions. So guys, if you have any questions, put it in the chat box or either unmute yourself. That'll be perfect. If you have any questions for Michael. Any, that was a lot of great information. So you said there is a part 2, right, Michael, coming up?
Yes, the part 2, where I kind of left off, where I talked about the different social media platforms. We'll kind of go through each of those and then really the considerations and strategy for how you use those for advertising. One of the things I always try to do is you get asked these questions, well, what's the best way to do this? Well, it all depends. Because of the nature where you can target with infinite detail. Facebook has more information on your interests and likes. It's mind-boggling once you go into how unique and how specific you can target. So the answer is everything depends. But it first comes back to 2 points I made in my first conversations. What is your unique selling proposition? What is the pain that you're solving, and who are you going after, right? And that helps inform what platforms might be the best place. So I'll give you an example. My e-commerce site, for remanufactured printer cartridges, people generally aren't going on Facebook looking for that. That is more people going into Google and doing a search. So the primary tool you use for that, and again, I said primary, not only, but you have many arrows in your quiver, right? The primary tool, the primary spend is looking at, doing some research. What are the searches and what are the keywords people use when they're looking for this product? Understanding where and who they are, and then creating ads. And in my Google AdWords, doing ads, because again, people looking to buy this or doing research on Kona, they're further down the funnel. Whereas other types of industries, other businesses, the play may be heavy leaning on the Facebook. And what I think a lot of people who aren't familiar with digital marketing don't realize is this is so much different than doing a billboard, doing a magazine, doing a newspaper, because you've got this wealth of information. You've got this easy ability to target on laser focus or have multiple focuses. You can stop, you can play with it, and you've got more dials and knobs. And so there really isn't a silver bullet answer. The answer is depends. But because of the low cost of entry for how much it costs to get in, you've got the ability to do small pilot experiments, stop it, and play with it. So for the audience, Diane, that you have for a number of your members who don't have a large marketing budget, this is something they can get into at a low cost and experiment. And because you have all these dials and knobs to market, you've got really great ways to look at your return on investment pretty quickly. So for folks that don't have a marketing budget or are new, this is a great way to wade in. And as they get more developed, they can do more of the other types of marketing. But it's a great way to get in, to getting your name and your brand out there. So the thing is this, is whether you're out in digital marketing or doing social media or not, you're still there, and people either realize you're not there and you're not relevant. So you got to get out there. And I love digital marketing, the flexibility, the low cost for entry. The thing I encourage people is if you don't have the expertise in-house, don't be afraid to consult with someone or bring someone in to help, because the returns from this can be very great if you bring in people that can put together a strategy, not just say, we've got a Facebook page, we're posting what's next. Well, probably not much, because there's no strategy and you're not really uniquely communicating, engaging, and targeting who your best customers could be.
That's awesome. Because in what you were just saying, you just kind of answered my question that I was getting ready to ask you, which is, a lot of this can be overwhelming, when you're talking about digital marketing and looking at all the information, and it looks very foreign to a lot of people, but just where to start. And you just said, just start from this simple place. And so are you saying just start from just getting to a place where you can just get exposure?
Well, let me step back even further, make it simple. So there's great education that's available online. If you've got some technical understanding, it's very inexpensive. Udemy and a bunch of other platforms have it. The question is, how do you eat elephant? Eat elephants tiny bites at a time. So the first thing, and I covered it really quickly, is you got to go back to your Google My Business where you've listed yourself online, and those listing services, make sure it's clean and accurate. For a lot of people, before they're searching, they will hit that or Google Maps before they even get to your website. So first off, you got to be sure your house is in order, going back to basics. I can't tell you how many places I've gone to where I've looked through Google My Business with a non-compelling picture. The hours are wrong, and you call them, oh, we've got new pandemic in, right? What does that say if one of your places you get found first, you haven't taken the time to update, right? So we got to cover the basics first. You have listing services out there on your Facebook. You have different hours. So Kathy, the first thing is, if you're inclined to learn it, I'm more than happy to do free content, help people figure it out, or they want me, my help, I can do that as well. But there's small classes you can take, introduction, to have more familiarity, to understand it better. There's great platforms like Hootsuite, Social Sprawl. Sprout Social, which help you with information, articles to learn more. There's great tools. I don't have time to post. Well, you've got tools like Buffer and other tools that'll post for you. You schedule it. But what I think that people look at, and the first mistake we make, is because we're already on it personally, we think the level of effort, the level of planning, level of strategy is the same as just going up and posting something. No, this is the same rigor that you have for strategy and planning for this. And there's tools and processes for it with traditional marketing. I think that people who aren't familiar with it make that first wrong assumption. So what I would say is, go online and Google. There's all kinds of free stuff out there. There's free ways to start. There's a lot of organizations like mine will do initial consultation to help you get your arms around it. But ultimately, at some point, if you want to get expertise, there's tons of expertise out there. There's guides for how to get started for a small business owner, but you got to start first with what's already out there. And if your Google My Business looks like crap, you need to fix that first, because that's what people will see. Because most people land on your Google Maps first and your Google site there. And first impressions are everything.
Exactly.
That's good. Any other questions?
Hey, Michael, could you talk a little more about the texting, SMS texting and digital texting?
Yeah, the SMS texting, I actually, because I'm a digital marketer, have a relationship with an organization called Sentex, and I've worked with, I just worked with a local salon and had them for years. But one of the things we're having, and I went back and rekindled the relationship, because I realized the easiest, cheapest, best play right now is to get text message people directly, because everyone's on their phone. So if anyone is interested, in fact, Diane, I can do a separate thing on that. Because I had some of my clients that I'd signed up years ago, when they were sheltered in place, they said, look, we want to pause everything because we're dead. I said, sure, no, texting will do that, we'll do email, so I went and paused it. But I think this is the best time to get to people directly I mean, 94% of people read text messages in 5 minutes. We all know individually how late they respond, if they respond at all, but they
Yeah.
least read it. I've got a solution. I have a relationship with that company, and I'm personally, especially with the small businesses that don't do digital marketing like I think they should. I'm getting back out, dusting that off, and trying to find ways to get out and show them that we've waived the first couple of months of sign up fee, because it's about getting open. It's about getting directly to your customers and know you're back.
Mm-hmm.
And the most direct way to get to people, and I'm saying this very slowly so you don't think I'm losing my mind, the best way, more than digital or social, is texting someone on their phone. People get that, they look at it,
Sure.
And I want, like, for instance, on my phone, I have a lot of text services from different retail places. Subway still hit me for lunch, stuff at noon. Various platforms are hitting me, but think about this. So with the SMS, Diane, to expand on this, right? Get on for free for the first couple of months. You can start doing all your marketing that way, right? You can have your specials that way. You can communicate about your new open hours and your procedures through text. But the two golden things, and Mike Simpson knows it better than anybody, for your customers, you need an email address and you need a cell phone number, right? So once you have those and opt in, the world of SMS is wide open. Diane, we can talk offline about ways to get this out, especially for businesses that are really trying to distinguish themselves and get people back on board. Because I think this is the best play along with social. But if I had to choose one of the two right now, people already have a Facebook, and hopefully they're doing a good job. And hopefully they've updated their stuff. Because I just called a wings place for my daughter last night, and their hours aren't updated. They closed 3 hours early. And they didn't think to do that. But then again, this wings place doesn't even have a website. So the number one place you go is they Google My Business, which is completely not updated at all. But SMS is a play. I've been doing it for a couple of years as a consultant, where I've got a relationship to provide that as a service. That could be another topic, Diane, if you want. But I think it's a great, no-cost, direct way to reach people, especially like Kathy said, they just don't have the time or the money to start to learn or figure out or bring someone on to understand digital marketing and advertising.
Amen. We'll definitely talk offline about that, because we have the service, but it didn't take hold. Remember, we introduced it a few years back, and there was reluctance, but I think this is the time that it would be very beneficial.
Oh, I mean, here's the thing. It is so beneficial. You'll see digital marketing, like major people saying the same thing I'm saying. Now, they're probably not emphasizing it like I am. But everyone's on their phone right now.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
I think what's different is we're not checking email as much as we used to, right? Because we're distracted. We've got another set of worries with pandemic stuff and PPE and stuff. But we all are hitting this text message on our phone, right?
So true. So true.
So I'd love to share that, because I mean, part of why I wanted to do this was, when I looked at surveys for digital marketing presence in social media, in areas that have a more urban population, the adoption and the level of maturity is less. And almost like the internet was a competitive divide, this can be a competitive weapon, especially at a time where virtual is the new normal, to engage and connect people and to push them online. And your businesses out there, stat I read, 70% or more of the African businesses did not get PPP funding. So you've got businesses, some of them which didn't have cash flow that would last them more than a couple of months or survival. This is a way to get out, get to customers, and hopefully get them to engage with you driving up, buying online, or coming in, however to do that. Right? I mean, we're going to see a lot of bankruptcies of large companies. You've already seen them in large chains. But you're going to see very quietly, like an iceberg, a lot of small businesses not reopening and closing, because didn't or wouldn't take advantage of some of the things you talked about today? Or even how do you communicate and connect with people now? SMS and social are the two cheapest ways. So I'm sorry for doing a monologue on that, but I'm very passionate about getting these tools out to people, no matter what their size or their budget is, to reach people. Because once you reach people, they like you. We've all seen, and Kathy, you probably work with Women University with small business owners. You can testify to with a little bit of social media, we can go from 0 to 60 pretty quickly, right? For your entrepreneurs that have graduated. So, but that's kind of why I'm all over this. So.
And Mike, can I add something?
Yes,
Mike, I just wanted to say that I have recently, in the last year or so, started doing a lot of social media. And what I can tell everybody is it's a lot easier than you think.
That's a great quote, Mike. I'm really glad you shared that because there's no mystery to it, and there's guides to help you, right?
It's like stacking up ABC blocks of a child. It is very simple. The concept of talking about it sounds really technically and tough, but it's really like riding a bike. It's not that bad.
All right, so I do, what time? It is 1 o'clock on the dot. So guys, this was amazing. And so Michael Davis, you want to give some closing remarks before I stop the recording?
Like I said, anyone wants to reach out for a free consultation, I'm available. It's michael@finessemove.com. And the website is the same name, finessemove.com. Reach out to me. And besides being a consultant, I'm an advocate for helping and small businesses get into a position to be successful. I have another consulting firm where I do small business consulting for strategy, growth, and optimization. So I've got it covered. Having run a business association, I've done economic development. I had a franchise. I think I've got a unique perspective for businesses, how you start them, how you work with them. So I'm more than happy to talk about any topic. But again, small businesses are about 98% of the jobs, and small businesses need all the help they can get right now during this pandemic. So I really thank Diane and Kathy for the opportunity and look forward to coming back again in July.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Any closing remarks, Diane?
Yeah, I just want to thank Michael Davis again for doing this webinar. It's great information, and we look forward to the second one.
All right. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us today, and be on the lookout for the replay.
All right.